Welcome back to the channel. I'm Lance with One Too Many Hobbies, and in today's video, we're getting ready for camping season. That's right, guys. Here in Texas, it's winter right around the corner. That means camping season. So in today's video, we're gonna make sure everything on this camper is prepped and ready because next week, we're heading off to our favorite spot up in Oklahoma. Let's get into today's video. So I just turned on the propane and I need to make sure that my stove works, which we don't use a whole lot, but more than anything, I gotta make sure my heater works. It's gonna be in the high 30s and low 40s next week, so I gotta make sure this heater's working so my kids stay nice and toasty. Now that I know the stove is working, and I always like to do that, I like to get the propane flowing through the stove before I turn on the heater. And I'm gonna test out the fan, make sure it's blowing, and make sure the hot air is going through there with the pilot light and that propane flowing. And the fan is working, you can hear it. Give it a couple minutes and the heat should start kicking on. Pilot light's going, you can hear it. We've got propane. So obviously that's a good sign. Again, we winter camp and we've got to have that heater, especially with a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old. So 2 for 2 so far with the stove and the heater. So we're working there, good. Put that down. Lock it back up. The camper is at like 98%. I've been out here working and I'll charge it before we go, but the batteries are looking good from sitting in the garage all summer. Again, I'm rocking lithium Battleborn batteries, 2 of them, and I have a cutoff switch, so they do pretty well sitting in the garage all year. So the next thing I need to do is I need to fill up the tank for the black water tank, the flush. I need to put that blue stuff in there, fill that up, so we're gonna do that now. So as you can see, I don't know, about a quarter of the way full, and so I'm gonna fill that up quite a bit. And a lot of people don't realize this, but you just fill it up right here, and the way the system and the gravity works, it's gonna look like it's overflowing, but it's actually taking it down, and this line will start to gradually grow. There's no science for this for me. I just pour in a decent amount. I could read the instructions, but that's too much work. So I added 2 new things this year for this season, and the first one is a jump starter. This is a lithium version. You can charge your phones, but most importantly, it's to jump start your car in case your battery on your car dies and you can't get home, can't tow the trailer back. So should have bought this 2 years ago when I bought the camper, but honestly, without having a camper, you should have this in your vehicle at all times anyways. The other thing that I did is I bought a torque wrench finally. So now I can change my spare tire on the pop-up. I can change my spare tire on my vehicle. Again, this is another thing that both of these should be in your vehicle regardless if you're towing a pop-up or not. I also ordered sockets for both my pop-up camper and the truck that I will leave in the pop-up camper tongue box. So 2 new things this year that should help us in case of emergency. All right, everything is looking good. Propane's going good. Got the heater working. In the last video, if you haven't seen it already, I took out the OEM plugs that were up in the ceiling and I installed these USB plugs, which is pretty cool. I have USB fans now. So if you haven't seen that, that will be in the left-hand corner, or your right-hand corner, I guess, to a link to that video. So I just got done hooking up the camper to shore power. I also turned on the refrigerator for the camper, and I turned that on 110 volt power. Hopefully within a couple hours, if I see the temperature changing, I'll probably turn it off because we don't leave for a couple days. The next thing I want to do is finally install a toilet paper holder. We don't put the shower curtain up in the pop-up. The seldom times that we do use the bathroom, the person that comes in here usually locks the door and that gives them privacy. Now we keep the toilet paper typically in the small little cupboard over here, and sometimes you forget to pull it out when you're using the bathroom. So I'm gonna install this. It will be on the other side of the curtain, the shower curtain, so it shouldn't get wet. Cool little hack for a depth gauge, just throw some painter's tape over the drill bit. Keep you from drilling through, hopefully. So I just plugged in the Jackery 240. I'm getting that thing charged up for next week. I also threw on our Goal Zero cup lights. The Goal Zero's lights have solar on them, but it's nice to take them into a fully state of charge for camping. I'll have the links down below for both the Jackery and the Goal Zero. I use the crap out of both of those, highly recommend them. All right, it's the next day. We are still getting ready for camping. Is it just me, or does it put you in a bad mood when you know you're gonna be setting up camp and the first 2 or 3 days it's gonna be raining? Took off time from work, and it just, fishing's gonna suck, but I don't know, man, just puts me in a bad mood. But good news is we'll be drinking good. That's a plus. So you'll notice behind me, I have a manual winch now. That's one of the upgrades or downgrades, however you want to look at it. I decided to take out my electric winch and put in a manual winch for one reason and one reason only. I want to be able to get home on Sunday. I got to work on Monday, and I didn't want to have to worry about possibly having an electrical issue, a short, something goes out, the motor locks up, and I can't get that thing home. So pros and cons of both of the units, I chose to go with a manual winch. So the next thing I need to do is go around the roof of the pop-up and make sure all the caulking is sealed up nice and tight. I did notice a spot over here in the front. This spot right here has a little bit of cracking, probably a good 12 inches or so. It's not horrible, but since we're getting rain, I'm gonna go ahead and kind of clean that up and put new caulking on top of it. And I'm just using lap sealant. This is the black non-sag. Little trick here, get you some soapy water. Make sure you put soap in the water, and then it should slide right over. So as you can see, it blends in pretty well. Use this soap and water trick and masking tape. It makes life a lot easier. It's not a mess. So the next thing I need to do is I need to get up here and I need to clean these solar panels, get that dust residue off of the solar panels, so when we go camping here in a couple of days, that nice rain will put a lot of energy back in my camper. Good thing is I've got 200 amp hours of batteries, so shouldn't have to worry about the sun not coming out for 2 days. If you have solar panels on your pop-up camper, make sure you clean them before you go camping, because otherwise you're losing your efficiency. And when they're dirty, you can lose 20, 25, sometimes up to 40% if they're not clean. So I haven't checked my propane since last season. I don't know how much I have. I do this by weight and feel. I do have two 30-pound propanes, so 60 pounds in total, and I get them filled up at Tractor Supply. So I'm getting 100% or 98% capacity of my 30-pound tanks. I also like to use the regulator on one propane tank, not both. This way, when I run out of propane, I know I have a full tank left for my trip. If you use both and you run out, well, you're out of propane. I always carry a 20-pound propane in the back of my truck. That's how I start my fires anyway, so if we did run out, I've got whatever's left in the 20-pound tank. So I carry an extra 10 gallons of fresh water in the front of the trailer. And the carrying mounts that hold the jerry cans get beat up from rocks and anything getting thrown up from my truck towing the trailer. And so I'm gonna go ahead and do a nice sanding to get this flush, and then do a nice fresh coat of paint to get these ready for our season this year. So the jerry can holders came out pretty good. Put a couple coats of paint on them. While those were drying, I did run up to Tractor Supply. I got about 7.5 gallons of propane filled. I also loaded up the cargo area with my solar panel, my chairs, my table, put the Weber back up in here. So we're ready to go. T-minus 3 days before we head out. Hopefully the rain holds off, but it's time to pop this thing back up, load her up. 40 degrees, right where I want it to be. Got the refrigerator running. I just threw the Dometic fridge up in the camper. Everything's working like it should be. Got some new caulking on that front left corner, so we should be good there. The solar panels are clean. My heater is working. The propane is flowing through to the stove. We're ready to go. The next thing all I gotta do is go shopping, get all that groceries, load up all my Coronas that we're gonna be drinking, hopefully if it's not raining, and pack all our clothes, and we're off to Southern Oklahoma. We're going to one of our favorite spots. Man, I love to fly fish up there. Primitive camping, no water, no electric, so we're gonna have a good time. I'm bringing the camera with me. We're gonna do a little behind the scenes, maybe a little camping video. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing because this is our first trip of our season. We're a winter camping family down here in Texas, and so our camping season begins around Halloween and goes through about April. So consider subscribing if you haven't, and if you made it this far in the video, smash that like button for me. It really helps out the video on my channel. And until next time, guys, we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.